Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Learn with Liz. We have a very special treat for you today as we continue our discussions into relationships and what a healthy relationship looks like. We have Kayla here, who is a millennial, but man, I tell you, she is packed with wisdom. I just enjoy the times that we can just sit down and just have a good conversation. So I wanted to share one of those conversations with you today. We're going to talk about communication and the boundaries that need to be made within. Hi, Kayla. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. Thank you so much for coming out and giving your perspective.
Thank you for having me.
So, we're going to dive into communication and how important it is to have boundaries and what needs to be within those realms of the boundaries. So, what can you tell us about that?
One of the things that I find very important and that I've learned through trial and error through relationships is one of the communication boundaries need to be the first dominant rule is do not talk angry. There should be no angry communication going on at all. So whether you have to go and drive to get some food or whatever, if you have to get away from the situation, I don't feel like that would be the best thing to do than to talk while you're in your emotions, because we all know making emotional decisions is not a good thing.
Wow, that's a good point. And that's a real good point. And I think that's something that we all should understand because sometimes, people, they used to say sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. But I beg to differ with that because some of
Mm-hmm.
the things that you say out of anger and out of emotion, once it's out there, you can't suck it back in and take it back. It's,
Right.
and I think that goes along with learning how to disagree, but not hit below the belt, and also respecting each other's opinions and understanding that it's okay for us to differ in opinions, just respecting that.
Right.
Right. So you want to give us a little bit more on how important the communication is.
Yeah, so another point I have will be also making sure that you're listening, but making sure you have the physical and mental behind it. What I mean by that is physically listening to somebody, you should actually look like you're interested in what they have to say. So if you're on your phone while somebody is trying to tell you how they feel, then that's not actually listening to someone. You have to actually make an eye contact, focus on what this person's saying. Even if you stare at their lips, you need to look engaged in this conversation for that to even come across as, a good environment for a good conversation to happen. And also mentally, as far as considering what the person is saying, not just hearing their words and then planning on your next rebuttal for what they have to say. Actually listen to what they're saying and actually try to put yourself in their shoes and see from their perspective from where they're coming from before you actually even respond.
That's a good point because I think a lot of times, uh, what you just said, it affects the respect that you give to that other person. Because if you're thinking about what you're getting ready to say, you're not even paying attention to what they're saying. So you're really giving off the body language. You're really giving off, I really don't care what you're saying. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care how you feel. So then if you're conveying that to a person, how am I, if you're conveying that to me, how am I supposed to know that you really care?
Right. You
And then
wouldn't know. You wouldn't think so.
you wouldn't think that you really care. So I've learned that I learned to actively listen, and I think that's a real good point. And especially, even now in the days that we're living right now, in this time of COVID, when things are so tensed and everybody is already on edge, I think it's really important that we show each other that we are important to one another and that we take the time out to actually listen, to actually not only just listen, but apply what the conversation, what's going on in the conversation. Because I've had, recently, I was having a conversation with someone, and I, up until this point, I felt like the communication was really, really good because, we had good back and forth and we agreed to be able to disagree. But recently, when you start getting a different energy from that person. I think energy is important. And when, um,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like you said, having those parameters of boundaries is so important. And even in the communication, like, okay, okay, let's not talk about that right now. Well, that's dismissive. And it's like, okay, I understand backing away and not talking about it, but we're not talking about this. Let's just leave this on the table. Let's just see, that's how things start to fester, because then you have, you know, we haven't resolved this, but now we're both swallowing it and now we're going to the next thing, but it's still right here and it hasn't been resolved. So it's like nagging you. And then you start to build up resentment because, hey, wait, we didn't really even resolve this. And that's why people will come back and like maybe months down the line say, well, such and such and such and such and such. And you're like, well, I thought we resolved it. Well,
Yep.
we actually didn't resolve anything because you
Yep.
dismissed me. And I
Yep.
think, I don't know if this, and when we're saying millennial and, I'm over 50, so two different spectrums here, but having the same opinion about what respect looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And so in your what do you think a healthy conversation looks like?
I would say a healthy conversation looks like one, a quiet setting, no music and all that going on. A quiet, peaceful setting, just two people, and there's not too much going on. Like I wouldn't have a peaceful conversation at a playground with a whole bunch of kids or something. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, so
Mm-hmm.
probably at a house or something like that, even in a car, it's just two people talking and nobody's on their phone. There's just two people looking at each other and voicing how they feel. There's no aggression going on. And I feel like if it gets to the point where people feel like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna step out of line and say something that I might regret or might not even mean. I feel like it's okay to just be like, you know what, I can't talk about this right now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
can I come back to you? I got to think about this. That is an okay thing, because just because you're feeling that way at that point in time doesn't mean that that actually needs to be discussed right there at that point in time.
That's a great
So
point.
it's a better way to do things at a later date than just pushing people off.
Mm. So, okay, so how would you receive somebody, how how could they present it to you when they're saying, okay, I want to talk about it, but I just can't do it right now? How does that, what does that look like?
The best way I would say that, because even it could be done in a text or over the phone, but it can really just be said the same way. Hey, I understand what you're saying, and I do find what you're saying important. I just am not in the right mindset to be able to give you the type of communication that you need right now.
So that's
That's,
healthy. That's healthy
yeah.
and that's respectful.
You can't even argue with somebody that says that to you. Like,
Now, now give me the other example, the example of what is dismissive or what would just like piss you off and be like, okay, you're not even trying.
oh, so you on that tip again? All right, yeah, I'll just talk to you later.
Yes, that is
That's
so
number
important.
one
It
way
doesn't
to
matter
start
if
a
it's
fight.
millennial. Doesn't matter if it's millennial or not. That is so true. Oh, that is so true.
Something
That is
that simple.
powerful. Yes. Or, oh my gosh. Yeah, that is so good. That is so good. Um, so how could you communicate that with somebody that's saying, you know, you on that again, how do we how do we get the other person to see that it's not about me being on that again? It's like, let's resolve this. Let's come to a mutual respectful agreement, maybe if we disagree, but you state your case, I state my case. We're not pointing fingers, we're not yelling at each other, we're not doing any of those things, dismissive things or belittling things. And then we are just, I guess I answered the question, didn't I? but I mean, I think that what we're saying is that healthy communication means taking both parties' opinions into consideration. and
Yes.
opinions and feelings and emotions. And I think sometimes it's challenging um, for women to communicate with men, because we're taught to show our emotions and to share our emotions. As little kids, little girls are like, oh, come on, baby, for the most part. But little
Mm-hmm.
boys are like, get up, suck it up, suck it in, don't
Right.
cry, don't show tears, don't whatever. So I think they learn how to suppress their emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would be like, how do you get past that barrier, past that wall? Because see, I've always been able to see people's heart, and that gets me in trouble, because my father used to say, baby, you got to see the whole picture. You can't just see the good part. And I'll say, well, in his quiet time he's really nice, yeah, but he's raging all the other times, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I think that's something that I think, if a person is willing, if they really care about you, then they're willing to work through the issue, even if it's irritating them, and even if they got to go over it. I'm just that believer in that type of love. If they have to go over it 15,000 times until I get it, then they should be willing to do it.
Yeah, I feel like another very important thing, which should be one of the foundations of communication, is really treating people how you want to be treated. Do unto others,
Mhm.
as you
Mhm.
have them do to you. Like,
Mhm.
that should be the number one rule, flat out. And that's with anybody in a relationship. Doesn't matter if it's your brother, your sister, your husband, or fiance. If
Mhm.
you wouldn't want somebody to address you like that, why do you think it's okay to address them like that? And then you're going to be hurt about how they respond,
Mhm.
when that's what you open the door for.
Mhm. Mhm. And so we've had some segments on um, narcissistic people and codependent people, and oftentimes when you talk about how do we, like, as you're navigating through a relationship, I guess, how do you know when enough is enough?
How do you know when enough is enough?
Yeah.
I feel like enough is enough when you see their name come across your phone, and you throw it to the other side of the room.
Wow. I didn't
That
expect that
when the sight
one.
of their name or even hearing it causes a type of emotion, that is when I feel like enough is enough.
Wow. See, I told you guys she was full of wisdom, because I promise you I didn't even think that. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, yeah. And sometimes people um I think it was, we talked about people go along just to get along, and then all
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden they start suppressing who they are and their feelings and their emotion, and all of a sudden now you got this big ball of resentment, and then they're like, why are you so angry all the time? Well, if I can't be who I am, I think this is another great point. Being
Yeah.
able to be who you are, and also being able to express what you feel, and not
Mm-hmm.
have someone belittle that feeling, or or make you feel bad because you're feeling a certain way. If I'm feeling this way, let's talk about why I'm feeling this way, and let's figure out a way for me not to feel this way, because I'm not a glutton for punishment. And I've had that happen, relationship after relationship. That's why, I stated I took a 4-year hiatus out, because I wanted to, like, really learn myself, and like, okay, what's going on with you? Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with you? So that's I'm sorry, I need to grab some water. Excuse me 1 second. But yeah, so I think just understanding, and for us as women, understanding, what we really want in a relationship. um are we building ourselves up for something temporary, or do we want something long term and permanent?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that should be the first thought when even considering
Excuse me.
someone else into your space and your time.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything else that you want to share with us to help the ladies? Because oftentimes trying to get through just, all of the web of somebody else's, can't get this tinkle out. somebody else's web of emotions and feelings and baggage and
Mhm.
you know what can you tell us about that? How do you think we how do you think we navigate through that?
Well, I mean, one pointer I feel like that plays a part with a lot of different issues come with that in social media.
Mm,
And that is definitely from us millennials. I'm sorry. We have destroyed a lot of avenues of communication with how we
okay.
abuse social media.
Okay.
Okay. We have definitely done that. We abuse that for sure. And that is not just a millennial thing now because there's people of all ages on Facebook. Everybody is posting their feelings and emotions, whether anyone asked or not, whether anybody even needs to know or not, especially when it comes to personal business. Everybody puts it out there now. So nobody thinks about, okay, if you're saying I'm upset and I feel lonely, you're not thinking, or you are thinking about your significant other on social media seeing this post, and now you're stirring up even more drama in your relationship and causing extra feelings by social media. Or you could be saying something or feeling some type of way about another situation that somebody could misinterpret, and that causes a lot of miscommunications and different feelings that the other person may not know about, is because people feel the need to voice to social media how they feel first, rather
Hmm.
than the person who actually needs to know the information.
That's a mouthful. That's a mouthful because again, in my day and time until now, and I'm very uncomfortable with I don't post personal feelings and emotions and things like that on social media. I'm more private than that. Even coming out and being a part of YouTube and bringing the wellness information out here, it still was a big step for me because I'm very, very private. But I do see, I see that social media thing where people post everything from the time they wake up in the morning until they go to sleep and turn the lights off at night. And I'm like, wow,
Because if you
that's
really
a
think
job.
about it, we grew up as girls off, you get a journal for that. You get a diary. You write
Wow.
all your secrets in a diary. Nobody needs to know all this. You don't want anybody to know all this.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like, no, we didn't need a diary for it. Just put it on your feed.
But but then that's just so.
It's
It takes
crazy.
away it puts the emotion out there, the raw emotion out there, but it takes away from that human contact, that human exchange of emotion and feeling, and like let's work this out, and then we come back to the world on a united front. That's how it used to be back in my day. You go
Yeah,
home
I
and you fight it
mean,
out, and you come back and you put it on,
you
but you don't put it
come
out
out,
there.
yeah, because you don't want other people to know that you're not happy in your relationship and stuff like that. You don't want to have other people seeing you or your significant other sweating. When y'all out on the streets, it should be we good, we straight.
Right,
In the
right.
house, you can handle all those issues. But now it's like everybody know y'all business. Everybody know you're on the break of getting divorced. Everyone know your baby daddy's cheating on you. He posted it last night. Like, it's so crazy now.
Wow, wow. Man, oh man. Well, we always like to leave our folks with, with a word to the wise as we continue to bring this information. Because see, some of this stuff, Kayla, people they feel it, but they don't talk about it. They don't express it. But then when they see us out here talking about it, or like giving them, some people don't even know, somebody may not even know because they grew up with the social media, like 2-year olds know how to do a phone and a computer and all that. So they may
Mm-hmm.
not even it may not even dawn on them that every time you're posting your information out there, and it may be an intentional attack. I might be the dinosaur and not understand it, but
Some of
I
it
did.
is.
Some of it is intentional. But then when you put it out there like that, then you open the door for other people to get involved and to yeah, okay. Well, I guess I'm still learning this social media thing myself, but
It's very messy.
it's
Very
messy, huh?
messy. Very messy.
Very messy, huh? Well, what piece of wisdom do you have to leave our viewers with tonight?
A piece of wisdom I would have is for, especially for my millennials and young people, we can't get away from how we were brought up. If you were brought up in the old school way, that is the way you should continue living. That should never stop once you hit a certain age. That wisdom should flow through you and your children, through generations, just like it flowed through your parents. Do not let social media and other outside objects even get a percentage of any power in your life at all. It shouldn't. And that's by taking your power and making sure you're focusing on yourself and you're not releasing it to the world. You stay with listening to what your mama taught you.
Oh, that's so good.
Mama was
That was so
Can't
good.
never forget what mama taught you.
Can't
Because
never
mama
forget.
told you not to tell your business. That's stuff your mother taught you.
That's good. That's good stuff. Well, we're going to have Kayla to come back because we need to stay in tune with our ladies of all ages, and and so we want to bring good quality wisdom, and in bite-sized pieces at a time, bite-sized pieces at a time. Tongue tire there. But we just want to remind you to like, share, and subscribe. Put in the comments below some of the topics that you'd like to hear us talk about, and we go out, research it, get the information, or bring somebody in that you can relate to. Because somebody may be able to relate to Kayla, and they can't relate to me because they're like, she don't know what she's talking about. But see, I bring in the big guns. So everybody, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll bring you some more juicy nuggets in the future. Thank you, Kayla, for joining us tonight.
No problem. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Bye for now.